Hi there, welcome to my explanation video on how I obtained the voice lines for Valorant. So, first a little backstory. I had done this first for Valorant when it first kind of dropped about a month or two in the beta. I was working on a project for a website similar to what blitz.gg offers with interactive maps and kind of browsing by agent and what kind of like lineups they can do with their abilities. I'd recommend using blitz.gg. It's something that I'm still interested in, but if I was going to take another swing at it now, I would definitely go about it differently. Anyway, let's get to how I obtained these voice lines. So the final product is this. We go from the announcer all the way to Yoru. Of course, there are more sounds in the game. To look at that, we can go to our Valorant extract folder and go to sounds, show game, content, audio, localized, US, media. So this is pretty much all these sounds in the game, and there are a lot. Now you may have noticed that these are just numbers. These aren't at all in any way readable. I can't tell which one's which.
Defuse the spike!
That sounded like Yoru. So these are cached in Unreal Engine 4, I believe. That may not be the right term, but essentially they are made like that. They're stored like that for runtime purposes, so they can be edited at runtime for any reason, any effects or that, something like that. Before, it wasn't like that. They were quite easy to extract. We could just simply use, I think it was some sort of extraction tool that automatically done it and kind of just sorted them into some nice folders for us. However, that's not the case now, and we get .uasset files which then extract out into these JSON files, which essentially point to a path. So we have our object name, which is what is in question, and we have the audio files that correspond to that. So if I was to search for 224269817 and 6853222631, I would get the announcer announcing, funnily enough, a clutch. So let's test that theory. Now, you're obviously asking, how did you get these folders? What are you using to, extract these files from Valorant? And that is a good question. Something called FModel. This is a fantastic piece of software for extraction of any Unreal Engine 4 game, which of course Valorant is on the Unreal Engine. So let us quickly, just checking my history there to make sure nothing's incriminating. Let's go to FModel and go to the GitHub. So this is where I would recommend you start if you wanted to go about doing this yourself for whatever reason. Maybe it's a couple months or years down the line and I haven't provided any updated information, any updated voice lines. Maybe you just want some other sounds like the gun sound and menu sounds, anything like that. I'd recommend starting here. Follow these guides, and as well as that, I would recommend also popping into their Discord. It's fantastic. They offer some advice if you have any questions. I'm aware that not a lot of people who are wanting these files are necessarily quite, for lack of a better word, tech savvy. People just want some voice lines or some sounds for video editing or streams, that kind of thing. So with that out of the way, we can open up FModel now that we've downloaded it. And it's important to note, during my time using this, I had to download a specific version from a link, just because Valorant hadn't been updated in a little bit and FModel had, so it was causing a little bit of weird errors. But if you try and download it from their GitHub at first, then it gives you some, I think the error was unable to read end of stream down here. Look in the video description and there should be a link for that. If there isn't, comment and tell me I'm an idiot because I said I was going to do that. So yeah, once we open up FModel, first we want to make sure we are selecting Valorant and live, preferably, to get the latest version. Then we want to enter our AES key. Now, basically, this is the encryption key for the game that we need to access its files. So this will also be in the description. Save you some time and some googling. And let us get searching. So these are the packages within Valorant. Now, if you wanted another language besides English, say you wanted Korean, Japanese, Spanish, Italian, German, anything, this is where you would look. So say I wanted to do French, I would click on the FR audio and it would open up eventually. There we go. Shooter game content, localized FR events audio. And now note that this is all still, you know, in English because, funnily enough, the game is programmed in English. Obviously the localization is the actual FR, the France part of it, the French part of it. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of demonstration, I'm just gonna go back to the US audio, or the English audio. Now, to test our theory, we have this number, and we know this is from the announcer clutch. So if we take this number, which we can also find in here, by the way, what is it under? It's under announcer. So what's this? Is it new events? No, it's not. It's here. Or is it? Silly me. There it is. So here we go. This is it. This is just FModel basically reading the JSON. And now let us search for this. There we go. Now, to open up these files, say you wanted a specific file that maybe isn't in the Google Drive, maybe you wanted a localized version, you wanted it in Korean, you wanted it in French, you could simply, in fact let's do that for demonstration purposes. Let us first play this, and now this has opened up an audio player. So coming back second, we can quickly go to our assets and go to auto, and this isn't on by default, but if you click open sounds automatically, essentially anytime you open up a .uasset file containing sounds, it will open up in the audio player, saving you some time, saving you some stress. Now,
clutch!
There you go, there's the announcer saying clutch. So say you wanted that in French. Let's go back to packages, let's go to French, audio, shipping, blah blah blah, and same thing. Oh ho ho, look at that, we don't actually have this. So what we need to do here is we need to go into announcer and we need to check the clutch. Sorry for the shaky sounds, something's going by pretty quickly. So here we go, this is the French clutch. Now it is important to note that this media here is still, if we extract it,
Moment décisif.
I haven't actually downloaded this language pack, if you will. This is from the live version, so it can still retrieve this from your directory. As well as, I actually think using the live version, it's actually fetching some of this from the web. Don't get me, don't quote me on that, don't hold me to death on that. I'm not 100% sure, I'm just kind of using it because before I was using local Valorant files, but when I selected the live version it didn't bother me. Anyway, back to me not waffling, which is hard to do. So we want to, in my case, which I've just done, extract pretty much every character, including the announcer, and their voice lines. So there's an obvious problem here. We need these numbers to be essentially these object names. Now we can do that pretty simply. We can, if we really wanted a specific character, we can set toil away and do it manually, but we can do better than that. We can program something to do that for us. I used Python. I'm sure any language pretty much can do this. Now, excuse me, there is a caveat here. There's a number of caveats in that all these Uasset files sometimes have more than one asset for this I have money. So that's when Clay, or Raze, Clay is Raze's code name within the development team. This is when Raze is saying I have money, and so that when she goes to say it again within the game, it doesn't sound exactly the same to the player. It keeps it a little bit fresh, a little bit of variance. So we essentially need to look through these and search for these files, and then we can rename them to this underscore 0_101, and then we can return that to our Voicelines. So to get started, I essentially wrote some really basic Python. This is just one of the simpler ones. So we make, we get some input, enter the directory to look through. So we basically take these, where are they? Excuse me, let's just find them. So we essentially take these JSON files. Let's just do an answer, yeah. So we take these JSON files and we provide this directory. We want these sounds. So we provide this directory and pass it in here. We do some string formatting to make sure Python provides the correct syntax for Windows, and then we create a new folder to put our extracted content to. Then we loop through each file inside our provided directory, which all of these, and we then put up some try and catches or try exceptions, just so that if there's any outdated files, Python won't essentially throw an error and stop the whole process, as well as if there's any other folders in this folder, it will try and loop into this file as if it was JSON, and that is just to basically say don't stop here, just skip this file, just say there are more folders within this directory. So if we have more than one asset inside our media list, we can then, so this is our media list, if there's more than one asset, we go to this else and we loop over each asset inside our media list. So the above if is essentially just saying if there is only one, then do this, but I will explain the more complicated loop version, and you should understand this after the explanation, or at least hopefully you understand this explanation, because I'm not the best at explaining code. I am hopeless when I'm writing it, so what good am I going to be when explaining it? So we can think about this number as a serial number we're trying to fetch, so we'll just call it serial number, and we essentially want to loop through each entry within this list here. We can basically think of these braces as a list entry. So for each list entry we want to use the iterator I don't know why I'm going into such detail here, but I might as well explain it as I thought about it. We want to use that as our serial number, and basically this line here takes this dot and splits everything else from here, so we're just left with the number. So now we have our formatted serial number, store formatted serial number. We need the readable name from which we're going to basically be calling this into, or this is what we're going to be calling the actual sound that we're going to be renaming. So to do that, again, it's just simple list manipulation, dictionary manipulation really, using JSON and Python. We basically just say this object name, and we underscore it with our iterator just in case there are multiple, which in this case, if we're in this else, there are. And then we specify a media source. So this is where we are going to be searching for these serial numbers, which is in our d/Valorant extract blah 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 blah. That is in here. Sounds, show game blah blah blah, media, and all these. Now, if you're going to do this yourself, of course these paths aren't going to be the same. In fact, I might actually provide a separate piece of code that you can enter your own paths, and it might essentially do it automatically without having, you having to write your own code, because I know that can be a little bit daunting for some people. So after this, we copy from our media source to our newly created folder, which I don't think I spoke about, but essentially if this folder doesn't exist from our input directory, we can just make it. And this to loop or split is essentially just making sure we don't have repeating names and kind of confusing terminology, syntax really. And then this is really the actual magic here. We're copying our found, referenced, which is the important part, referenced sound file, renaming it into what we want, more readable for us, and then we're actually copying it to our extracted sounds folder. So this is actually what you will be getting kind of back from the program if you do it this way, kind of more raw terminology, different names instead of nice formatted names for the masses. And of course at the end we need to re-empty our dictionary from which we've read in our original JSON, because if we didn't do that we might have reoccurring files. Essentially we'd have old data, and then this old data would go back up within this for loop, and without it being reset. Actually, now that I think about it, this isn't entirely necessary. It's just good practice to do something like this. This here, read in media info JSON load JSON file, this would just overwrite the past instance of this variable, but again, like I said, it's not entirely bad that we're doing this, it's just really good practice. But anyway, this feels like a school lesson, a lecture. So that is basically how I went about doing that. Again, like I said, if you really wanted just a specific thing, I would recommend downloading FModel, coming in here yourself and looking for specific ones. If you wanted a mass conversion extraction of maybe even different sounds instead of voice lines, try and follow my advice on how to do that. Look in the FModel Discord, ask for advice, even from myself, post in the comments, message me in Reddit, things like that. I'm always happy to help. So yeah, that's pretty much everything, I believe. Yeah. I'm quite enjoying Valorant again, with a new update, new episode essentially, new act, I don't know what they're calling it, but yeah, it feels a little bit more fresh now that I've taken a good break from it, and now that uni's kind of calming down with me finishing most of my assignments, it's easier to get back into it. But yeah, I hope that you found this a little bit informative. Again, if you need any advice, any questions, fire away. Another thing to note, I don't know if I'd already mentioned it, but the Valorant wiki, Valorant Voicelines wiki, there you go, jet quotes, they're already on here.
Yo, Brimstone, you know the drill. Just show me where to go.
Yeah, and you can download these pretty easily. I believe it's either no. I think Inspect Element gives us it. Span. There you go. in this source here, if we just open link in your...
Yo, Brimstone! You know the drill. Just show me where to go.
I probably should have put this bit at the start in actuality, but yeah, that isn't the point of this video, that is just something to note. But yeah, I hope this was at the very least informative in some way. I hope you have a nice day, and whatever you get up to with these voice lines, I hope it is the best you can do. I hope you are successful in whatever you're trying to make. Thanks for watching.